I didn't walk into that party looking for trouble. It was supposed to be a harmless work mixer, one of those loud, crowded things you show your face at, smile, and leave early. My wife, Eliza, had been excited about it all week. She bought a new dress, spent extra time on her makeup, and rushed me so we wouldn't be late. I remember thinking it was nice to see her energized again. Lately, we'd been more routine than romantic, but I assumed that was just life. Marriage settles. People get busy. I wasn't naive enough to expect sparks every day. The venue was already buzzing when we arrived. Music thumped through the walls, glasses clinked, people laughed too loudly. Eliza disappeared almost immediately, pulled into a group of coworkers. I barely knew. I grabbed a drink and made small talk with a guy from accounting, half listening, half scanning the room out of habit. That's when I saw her. She was sitting on a couch near the back, angled away from the crowd. A man I didn't recognize was there with her. His arm was draped casually along the backrest, and Eliza was perched sideways on his lap like it was the most natural thing in the world. She was laughing, head tilted back, one hand resting on his chest, not stiff, not surprised, comfortable. For a moment, everything slowed. The noise dulled, like someone had stuffed cotton in my ears. I didn't feel rage. I didn't feel panic. What I felt was a strange, hollow clarity, as if something I'd been ignoring had finally stepped into the light. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a drunk stranger crossing a line. This was familiarity. I stood there longer than I should have, watching. She didn't look around for me. She didn't notice me at all. The man leaned in and said something that made her laugh again, softer this time, intimate. I thought about walking over. I thought about asking, "What is this?" I thought about raising my voice, making a scene, forcing answers out of her in front of everyone. But another thought cut through all of that. I didn't need to ask. I already knew Dot, so I turned away. I finished my drink slowly, deliberately. I checked my phone, replied to a work email, nodded at someone who said hello. My hands were steady. My heart was heavy, but calm. I left the party without saying goodbye to Eliza. I didn't text her. I didn't call. I drove home alone, the city lights blurring past, replaying years in my head instead of minutes. We'd been married 11 years. I'm 39. I've always been the dependable one. I work. I pay the bills. I fix what breaks. I show up. Somewhere along the way, that became invisible. Date nights turned into errands. Conversations turned into schedules. Affection became optional. I told myself it was normal. I told myself patience was love. Standing in that party, I finally understood the cost of that lie dot at home. I didn't pace or punch walls. I opened a suitcase and packed methodically. Clothes, charger, documents. I left my wedding ring on the dresser. Not dramatically. Just, honestly, it no longer belonged to me. I slept that night in a quiet hotel across town. I slept better than I had in months. Eliza called the next morning. Then she texted. Then she called again. I let it ring. When I finally answered, my voice was even. She asked where I was. I told her I needed space. She said we should talk. I said we would, later. She cried. I listened. I didn't interrupt. When the call ended, I felt sad, but not guilty. We met. 2 days later in our kitchen, she tried to explain. She said it wasn't serious. She said it was a mistake. She said she'd felt lonely, unseen, disconnected. I didn't argue with her feelings. I just told her mine. I told her I saw her. I told her what it did to me. I told her I was done pretending I didn't matter. She asked if I was leaving. I said yes. There was no shouting, no insults. Just the quiet finality of truth spoken too late. I moved out that week. I hired a lawyer. I protected myself. Eliza moved quickly into a narrative where I was cold, unforgiving. I let her have it. I didn't correct people. I didn't chase understanding. I focused on rebuilding something I'd neglected for years. Myself. People. Ask me now if I regret not confronting her at the party. If I regret not fighting harder in that moment. I don't. Arguments are for people who still believe words can change reality. I didn't need a confession. I needed clarity. I got it. Walking away wasn't weakness. It was the first decisive act I'd taken in a long time. I didn't explode. I didn't beg. I didn't perform pain for an audience. I acted. And in acting, I finally chose myself. That night didn't end my marriage. It revealed that it had already been over. And seeing the truth, calmly and clearly, was the beginning of everything that came after. I didn't emerge from it heroic or triumphant. Healing was quiet, uneven, and lonely. Some mornings I missed her voice. Other nights I missed the version of myself who believed endurance equaled love. But each day, without pretending, felt lighter. I rebuilt routines. I cooked for myself. I exercised. I learned to sit with silence without mistaking it for failure. Slowly, confidence returned, not loud, not performative, just solid. I stopped apologizing for having boundaries. I stopped explaining decisions to people invested in misunderstanding me. Loss taught me precision. Presence taught me worth. And trust, once broken, taught me that self-respect must always come first. That lesson remains, steady and unnegotiable, shaping every choice forward.